Wait, 1, 2, 3. There you go. So we're here with Ruben today. Ruben's an entrepreneur, boxer, does a lot of things, and it seems like you've been pretty successful at it. From what I've looked at, I took some time to look at your business page this morning, and it seems like you're killing it, man. I knew you had a fight recently.
Yeah, so I had a fight back in March, like around April, May. It was a good fight. I went against this kid from New Mexico, Las Cruces. He won the 2024 and 2025 Golden Gloves. It was a phenomenal fight. I did end up losing, however, it was through split decision. It was very close, but I like to think I got my damage in. The broken nose, but no, man, it's been good. I've had 3 fights this year. I just started training with a new gym. I realized that the whole business, you mentioned earlier, the business is successful and everything. I actually do want to talk about that. The whole idea of starting up a business and being an entrepreneur, making money outside of the 9 to 5 was to support my fighting career. Yeah. But in the process, I stopped training religiously like I was in the beginning, you know? And it really made me think, what's the point of making this money to help me train if I don't have the time to train? Yeah. So the point of getting this new gym was to kind of just lock in, you know, not drop as in completely stop, but change the priorities up. Right? At work, I'm working at this bar, you can taste it room. My manager was telling me, he was telling me that I have priority issues, right? When someone gets up off the table, you have to pick up the glassware, and then set the table, and then wash. I kept picking up the glassware, washing it, then setting the table. So the presentation is bad in the meantime, right? Yeah. Rather than just picking it up, cleaning it, setting the table, and then start washing everything. So I took that key point into my fighting life. I was alright, the point is to support my career, but I'm skipping the step of actually doing the career, then is this truly efficient? So I decided to get this gym. I'm with Bloodline. He's gonna give me an evaluation at the end of this month just to see when we can start competing again. And I have a lot of hopes, man. It's definitely different. My original coach, Ruben Holguin, he's a phenomenal coach. But he's busy. Shout out to Kaina. It's Kaina's boxing club. But he's been busy, man. He has his kids, he has his family, he has 2 jobs. He's a very busy man. And he's like a father figure to me. I really do respect him a lot. But I can't train as often with him. And when I do train, there's a bunch of kids, not his kids, just kids he does classes for, or people who do it as a hobby, which is awesome and I respect. But for myself personally, I want to take it to a level way beyond the average person. And for that, I need to have high level competition. Now, I do have my partner Jesus, and he's a phenomenal boxer too. But it's the same thing, we're both there. He knows how to fight me, I know how to fight him. You know, when I spent 3-4 months out of training, I went to spar him, and it's not like I got my ass completely whooped. Yes, I got my ass whooped. I mean, obviously, I was out of shape. I wasn't in the best shape. I would say out of shape. I definitely wasn't in the best shape. But it wasn't a big difference. And that stuck with me. So this new gym that I'm at, it's phenomenal because we have Jorge Tovar, Dominic Berry, Victor Aranda, and those are El Paso's top 3 professionals right now. So I'm training with them, I'm getting my ass whooped by them. You know, that's a better opportunity because one thing Cadena set straight in me was for me to become a better fighter, I need to constantly be fighting better fighters, you know, fighting the next best opponent. And my sparring.
I want to interrupt you there a little bit. Sorry about that. But I do want to ask you, so because our whole podcast is basically on mental toughness, right? And what things can you do to grow? In your case, right, your coaches, and I'm sure you're pretty much, you know what to do, but what are things that you're looking into doing to further your ability in boxing? Because I'm sure you've got to maybe like the best of the best here in El Paso, which is mid-sized city, I would say. It's not the biggest, but not the smallest. What are you doing so that it takes you out of your comfort zone, you know, to better your boxing skill?
Yeah, so a lot of it's mental. You know, Mike Tyson said it's 10% physical, 90% mental. I 100% agree with that. Yeah. The whole reason as to why I got into fighting to begin with was originally to lose weight, but what really inspired me was the philosophy behind it. And Bruce Lee played a big part of this. Everybody knows the whole flow, be like water. You put water into a cup, it becomes a cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. The whole idea of that is being adaptable. You know, able to change whatever the situation presents. But in his book, he talks about something different that I've been trying to apply to my life. And it's this quote. It says, "Detach yourself from your personal beliefs and desires in order to see something in its own pristine simplicity." Meaning, whenever you do something, right, whether it's you're making a podcast, you're cooking, you're cleaning, there's always an intent, a desire behind it, right? You cook so you can eat. You don't cook just to cook. When you're cleaning because you want to clean the house. Your desire is to clean the house, or you start cleaning. When I fight, my desire is to win. So I enter with that. But it comes to judgment. You don't see it for what it is, right? It's like what you were talking about earlier in one of your podcasts, motivation. And motivation, it comes in lows. You can't depend on motivation. It's about discipline. This plays into that. Because that cloudment, that judge, all that, it affects you mentally when you enter hard situations. Because you're doing it for the wrong reasons. Rather than doing it for the result, you should be doing it for the action. So that's what this quote talks about. And it derives from the Chinese philosophy Taoism, which is active meditation. If you're cooking, you should only be focused about cooking, not about how it's going to taste, you know, to eat it, what you're going to do after you're eating, what you did the day before yesterday, a conversation you had 2 weeks ago. That's all relevant. If you're cooking, you're only cooking. You focus entirely on cooking. So I took that and I took it to a Golden Glove fight in January. My coach called me like a month and a half in advance, asking me if I was going to fight. And I told him, yeah, I need to know so much training to beat my ass so that I can train harder. And that's where a lot of my motivation comes from. But it's not enough because it's all within a routine or having something you do, you know, day after day after day. I applied it by focusing on the entire fight. I go into the ring, I'm going up against a guy who has over 25 fights. That was my 7th fight. He has way more experience than I do. And the thing that kept me disciplined through the training was repeating that same quote. I'm training because I'm going to fight and I need to be training. Not because I want to win. Yes, I want to win, but who cares? That's not what I'm focused on right now. What I'm focused on is training.
Yeah.
And when you're training, when you're focused on training, you're going to train a lot harder. You know, if you're going up the hill and you throw up, damn.
It's what some people say intensity, right? It's like laser focus, it increases the intensity.
Yes, 100%, because that's all you're focused on. Then you start thinking about, damn, I could have done this more. Damn, I could have maybe lifted 5 more weights, or 5 more pounds, I'm sorry. Or damn, maybe I could have ran an extra mile. You're completely focused, so now you start nitpicking what you're doing. And that's where you start unlocking your mental capacity for physical endurance or physical work in general, right? It's all mental. You know, like David Goggins once said, if you want to be disciplined, you want to...
He's my dude.
Yeah,
he's my God. I love him.
He has a very great mentality. And one thing he said that really resonated with me is in his book, It Can't Hurt Me. And he's explaining how building a habit, building routine, getting discipline, a lot of it has to do with your mind and your mentality, yes. But more specifically, how well organized your mind is. Think of it like this. This is the exact example he used. Think of it like this. You have a garage, right? In your garage, you have all this other stuff. It's full. But you want to get better habits. You want to start going to the gym every day. You know, I want to go to the gym 6 a.m. every day for 2 hours. I want to start eating healthier. So now you have extra things you want to put in. But your garage is full. So how are you going to start doing that if your garage is full? Right? You want to know how you empty your garage? By meditating. Just quiet your mind.
How much do you meditate? Or do you meditate every day? Maybe, you know, once, twice, 3 times a week?
My issue is I forget a lot. Short-term memory, it affects me. When at times I will remember and I'll try to drive with my phone, with no music, just silence. You know, I'll try to do active meditation. But as far as sitting down and actually meditating, I haven't been doing as much as I should have. That's one of the things I'm implementing. You're asking me what am I gonna implement? That's one of them. Meditation and routine, what I mentioned earlier. Setting up a routine. It's hard. I won't say it's hard, but for lazy people, it's easier to set up a routine and follow than thinking of what to do every day. Right? Because I'm lazy. We're all lazy. We all have lazy attributes. No one's perfect. We all have,
We're humans.
we all have wrong attributes, right? Incorrect attributes or bad habits. And the way to beat laziness is to start, like you mentioned on your podcast I saw, was the momentum. You build that momentum. You build it by setting up the routine, day after day after day after day. It takes 22 days to properly build that habit. It takes a week to get used to it, right? And you do these little things. For me personally, what I plan on doing is following what these martial artists do. So waking up, meditate, go to the park, do some training, put the body shield on the tree. I was in there when I was living in my apartment. I felt nice every time I do it. Just hitting it, training, no music, just ambiance, noise going on, and staying focused.
Nice.
I know that it's difficult to stay disciplined through something like that, especially in fighting. I've heard that it's very physically taxing and mentally taxing. How do you stay disciplined to it? Or do you have any tricks or tips that have helped you be exceptional at that?
And if I may add to that question, I hope I don't overload you, but on top of that, what are the things that most people struggle with? So that's like two combo.
Okay, I'm gonna answer yours first because I think this might be a very common one. You go to work at 8 a.m., right? You usually go to sleep at 9 to 10 p.m. That leaves you enough time to wake up early to go hit your gym. Right? When you wake up, 5 more minutes, 10 more minutes, you start thinking up of excuses, right? Thinking up of excuses. Splash some water. Splash some water. The most common excuse is running out of time. That's generally time is the most common excuse. You know what? It took too long. Get up, go to the shower. Now I only have an hour and a half by the time I get there. I'm gonna have an hour 15 of bus, I'm gonna drive back. So give it like an hour, maybe 45 minutes of workout. So you went from giving yourself 2 hours of a workout to damn, now I only have 45 minutes. Why is that? Because you're procrastinating in the beginning. My tip, because it's something I struggle with on the daily, my tip, man, is just to splash some water in your face and do something immediately. Wake up, 5 push-ups, just get your heart pumping. Whatever it is, get your heart pumping, your mind active, and put your phone on another room. I actually want to call myself out. I have been very lazy this past month. What was your question earlier? I know this was going to tie into it.
I think it was what habits make you exceptional at what you do or help you keep that discipline going.
So what helped me keep that discipline going was not so much the habit, but the mentality. I got called out once when I had barely started boxing, 6 months into boxing, and his name was Ruben. Yeah, we used to be very good friends, but a whole fallout happened and everything. But I am very grateful for this one experience, although it wasn't a positive experience. I got called out. You're always blaming on your ADHD, on all this. You're coming up with excuses. You don't take accountability, and I took it to heart. I felt offended at first, but then I started thinking about it, and I realized, shit. This guy's right. I am being a bitch, right? I'm sorry, I don't know. But I'm being a bitch, and I need to own up about it. And that's what I'm calling myself out now. I'm being a bitch. I've been having a lot of things going on with the family, but I let it get to me mentally because that time excuse started coming in. So the weakness of, man, I'm doing this, my family member passed away, my grandpa was in the hospital, all this, it sucks. But it doesn't stop the world from revolving. Before, what would push me was the pressure. Knowing that I enjoyed the fact that I'd get less sleep, I'd go to work for 8-9 hours, get out, hit the gym for 4 hours, go play some chess, read some books, go to sleep for 4 hours, wake up, fucking slam a pre-workout, scoop a pre-workout, and then repeat, rinse and repeat. My days off, go hit the gym 1 or twice a day. After 2 weeks, get yelled at my coach, because I had rest, just showing my body. In that time, I saw an insane amount of progress. But it was all within the mentality. Yes, habits are good and everything, but it's all your mentality. How are you going to build a habit with the wrong mentality? Now you're just accustoming yourself to do something while thinking negatively or while thinking the wrong thoughts, right? Your thoughts are like the cars you see driving on the highway when you're standing on a mountain. Either you observe them or you get in the middle of the highway and watch them go past you. I'm sure it's scary to be standing in the middle of the highway compared to standing in the mountain looking at the highway, right? That's how it is with your thoughts. If you don't meditate, this is why I stress it, because the times I do meditate, I feel that mental clearance. I feel my garage open and ready to accept these new habits, these new healthy habits. But it's all through the meditation.
Yeah.
It generally just empowers. It's all about your mental power. A good testimony that I have to that, and it's more of a physical testimony, was when I broke my hand. When I broke my hand, I learned to control my anger because I was sparring some big guy. The story I tell people, because I was, but it's not anymore. The story I used to tell people was that I was sparring a guy that was 100 pounds heavier than me, which is true, but that I broke my hand on his elbow. That's not true. I did hit his elbow and it hurt, but I didn't break it. What happened was I wasn't performing as well. I wasn't doing as well as I thought I'd be. When the sparring match was over, I got pissed off, slammed my gloves on the ground, walking out the gym, slammed my helmet on the heading on the ground, and I walked up to the metal beam and I smacked the hell out of it, and I broke my hand. I was pissed. But in that moment, I learned to control my emotions, not just anger, control my emotions.
Can you walk me through, like, what was your thoughts? What were your thoughts while you hit it? Of course, you hit the thing, right? And then what were your thoughts after that? Or how did you overcome that anger?
So my thoughts, it's funny because I do remember my exact thoughts. I walk out.
I mean, it's something that you remember.
Yeah, 100%, yeah. I walk out, I'm pissed. I'm telling myself, what the fuck are you doing? You're shit, you're not training enough. You should be beating his ass. He's not a boxer, he's just a heavier guy. You should be performing a lot better. You know, just talking shit to myself. I go to the beam, no thoughts in mind, smack it. And then I don't feel pain immediately, and then I feel my hand can't move normally. And then the pain starts coming in. I'm like, damn, I think I broke my hand. It's like, fuck. Then I start realizing, oh, I messed up. Now what comes through my mind is, no, I broke my hand. Now I can't fight. That's the first thought that came to my mind once I realized my hand was broken. Fuck, I can't fight. I just knew that I was preparing for a match, and because of my immaturity, I have to pull out. I'm no longer fighting this match. I was so stressed about the fact that I was going to perform well that I ended up hurting myself and not being able to perform in general. So I go talk to my coach and everything, and it's still settling in. I'm still pissed. I'm feeling everything. I don't know what I'm feeling. I'm feeling a little bit of everything: anger, sadness, anxiety, stress, a little bit of everything. You know, my head's overwhelmed, thoughts are racing through, and so my coach said, all right, we can go to the hospital, let me know what happens. I'm like, all right, cool. But I started working the hot dog cards. So I went to pick up the hot dog cards with a broken hand, did everything. Then I went to the hospital like 3-4 hours later. It was already like 2-3 in the morning when I pulled up. I had gone earlier just to check and make sure it was broken. He told me that's broken. I told him I'd be back later tonight. When I went, as I laid down to get the x-rays in, and then like it really started settling. Like my mind's quiet down. I'm done with work and everything. I'm just in the moment. When it goes back to the court, now I'm just in the moment. I'm not thinking about the fight and everything. I'm just thinking about what the hell I did. And it settles in. I realized, damn, I'm stuck. And I started getting sad. Like, tears coming out. I'm like, fuck, I can't fight. Like I was genuinely depressed. I want to fight. I can't fight. It was just sad, very sad. And doctor comes in, whatever, I wipe it. He tells me, the whole ordeal, casting everything. As I'm driving home, I had this bad habit of using my phone like that. And it's pretty common. But I was going through Instagram, and then I see this one boxer. I always forget his name. I'm not good with names, but I see this one boxer who he had a spinal fracture, and he was told he was paralyzed. He was going to be paralyzed, and that if he's lucky, he might be able to walk again. And he tells the doctor, okay, how long till I can start boxing? And the doctor tells him, no, I don't think you're hearing me or you're understanding me. You're going to be paralyzed. And chances are you might not walk again. And he tells the doctor, no, you don't understand me, doctor. How long until I can fight? And he went on a train. You can see videos of him with this metal thing.
Got the whole metal.
Yeah, the whole thing will hold his head and his spine straight, and he's there throwing punches and everything. And he went on to win a title. Not just start boxing, he won a whole title, bro. A whole belt. That takes some huevos, dog.
Yeah.
Like that really takes a lot of balls, bro. So that clicked. I'm gonna call him my alter ego. I'm gonna call him Russo, just because all my buddies call me Russo. They say I look Russian, so they call me Russo.
Yeah.
But that's when Russo came in, and he flipped it completely. It was more so, oh, fuck, what the hell did I do? To doctor says I can't train him for 6 months.
So did you have to like almost invent a new person?
Nah,
That new.
That was just, from what I'm getting, that was like a big turning point. Like you realized that you really, that was when you realized you really loved boxing.
yeah, 100%, 100%, dude. I'm glad you bring that up because I didn't see it like that. But that's the one that I found love. That's when I realized I found love. Yeah, that's true, man. I didn't see it like that. I
That
always
broke your heart.
yeah, it did. You know, worse than getting broken up with a girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that to me actually did shock me.
I can relate to that because I said it a couple times in the podcast, but I used to play soccer, right?
Mhm.
And at one point I did go to play with teams that were in the second division professionally. So I was like semi-pro. But then I tore my ACL. The worst injury you can have in soccer but you're basically not able to use your leg anymore. And you know, what you used to do, because soccer, I'm sure you know, it's a lot of, you know, turning, fast movements and stuff like that, and that tendon is very, very needed for that, because otherwise your knee just goes off, right? And I relate to that a lot because I remember the first time, I actually ripped it twice. The first time I ripped it, right, I had surgery and everything went well. They told me, hey, 6 months and then you can start playing. I kid you not, it was 6 months. Literally next day would be 6 months and a day, and I was already playing.
Yeah.
Like I was specifically waiting for that. 2 months later, I tore it again, and that, you know, that brought like a new feeling that I didn't know I had with soccer.
Yeah.
I started feeling, again, like you said, sadness, regretful. It was exactly what you described, so I relate to that very, very well. Because
Everything,
as an athlete, right?
Yeah, dude.
You pretty much at that point, it's like you're just doing this specific thing, this specific sport for so long that it's already part of you.
Yeah.
It's an identity. You take that identity, right? So when that happens, just it really breaks your heart.
Yeah.
And that's when a lot of people like yourself and I realize, hey, this sport is something more.
Yeah, it is.
Than just a sport. And normal people don't understand that, but that's...
Yeah, actually, I want to interject. So anybody that wants to get into sports, you have to be delusional about it. There's no having a routine. There's no, not a routine. What's that word I'm looking for? Having a, man.
The drive to do it?
No. Man, I
Is
can't
it
believe
close
I'm
to
saying it.
delusional?
It's the opposite of delusional, where you try to keep things. There's no such thing as having a balanced life. It's either all in or nothing. If you want to be a true athlete, you can't have a balanced life because there's no such thing as a balanced life. Either you train 100% or just don't go to the fucking gym and waste your time and just be a hobbyist, because it is a hard sport. That goes to anything, not just boxing. That goes to MMA, soccer, football. You gotta be 100% in, man. It's like having a whole career. If you really do care about it, it's like having a whole career.
And I would say that even goes into your profession, right? Even if you're just, you know, like aside from sports, even sales, right? That's what we're really big in. We're in sales. I think you are too.
I am too, yeah. Sales is a phenomenal skill. Very important.
That's another one. And I mean, whatever profession you do, whether you're a doctor, engineer, whatever you are, you have to be, you know, locked in that too as well.
Yeah.
So that you can improve. That's how you improve, by being locked in that specific thing, and you see things differently versus some other people that, you know, take it as a hobby.
There's so many people that kind of want it, that like the slightest bit of talent puts you up here, and then if you really want it, like truly want it, that's the only way you're going to get past the talented people that kind of want it.
Yeah.
Like after you broke your hand and after all that happened, like what did you do next, or how long did it take you to get back into boxing?
So that's actually what I want to start back up on. After the doctor told me you had to wait at least 6 to 7 months before you can even start working out. That means no weights, no running. He said nothing. Just don't work out at all. And I was like, all right, cool. For like a day or two. Then I got really anxious. Like I was getting pissed. You know, I see my buddies getting ready for a fight, and in my head, I'm telling myself, "Oh, David Goggins, he has a torn meniscus, torn ACL, but this guy's running 257 miles nonstop. This boxer, he tore his spine and everything." And to me, it's, bro, put him in front of me. You're the same fucking person. I don't care how badass you are, you're the same person. No one's that special. We're all special, but we're not. You're all great. Everybody is capable of great things, but you're not special. You're not one of a kind, right? You are, but you aren't. So you should believe it, but in reality, you aren't. What I mean by that is, if you see someone doing something great, that's because they're one of a kind, but that means you can be one of a kind too, because they breathe the same thing and they believe the same thing. So I started hitting the gym. I really didn't care. I started training. I was moving, shadow boxing, getting the miles in. My hand, once they took the cast off, I had 2 big screws going in that went from the pinky all the way to the middle of the
I think I can see it actually.
Yeah, you can see the scar right here.
Yeah.
And then you can see where the scar of the point was. The 2 little metal things are sticking out.
Yeah.
Because they had to pull them out. So I wasn't going to go back into surgery, they just had them sticking out.
I once cut myself with the box. No, dude. Honestly, I respect it so much, bro.
Yeah, so I had that, and while I'm doing therapy, and I had to get back, when you break something, your tendons shrink because of the lack of movement, right? When you don't move a lot, everything shrinks, which, pro health tip, your body hurts, back, stomach, legs, hips specifically, stretch more. That just means you are very tight.
There's a lot of tension.
A lot of tension. Just stretch and move. You don't have to run miles. But anyways, when I was able to do this with my hand, a hook, you know how you do the hook grip for deadlifts? Yeah. That's what I started doing. Well, like this is as much as I could grip. I was doing it at 25 pounds. And then when I moved back up to the plate, I was super happy because by then I could like bring it down like this. And I was just training going non-stop. I think a month after the surgery, I was already able to close a grip. So I started training everything, you know, just going non-stop. A month and a half, close to 2 months was when I was already hitting the bag with it. And then at the month I had already pulled it out after a month. They were gonna wait 3 months, but they saw how fast my hand was healing and they pulled it out. When you train, specifically pushing your heart rate past a certain rate, you start releasing like a type of adrenaline, like you're releasing growth hormones. You really are. You're producing testosterone. You're making your body stress out to recover, right? That's gonna help heal. I don't care what anybody says. That's gonna help heal alongside with the mind. The power of the mind really does affect the body. You know, it's like they say, the person who thinks he's a dumbass, he's right. He's a dumbass. The person who thinks he's smart is right. He's smart. It's all about your thoughts. Well, I thought the doctor's just dumb and I'm gonna heal quick. So that's what I was focused on. I was like, I'm healing. I don't care. I'm gonna fight within 2 months. Like I'll be back in the ring within 2 months. I don't care what anybody says. Fucking going to the gym non-stop. The doctor's yelling at me, my coach is yelling at me, my mom's yelling at me. And I didn't care whatsoever. So I'm training. The 2-month marker hits. I tell my physical therapist, I'm like, hey, I can do a whole fist. Give me a clearance so I can start going back to fighting. He's like, how's your hand and everything? I'm like, I can hit 50% with it, but it's good enough, you know, I'm ready to start fighting. He tells me, okay, we're gonna do one test for you, see how many push-ups you can do. He said, if you can give me over 20 push-ups, I'll think about it. I was like, all right, cool. Now I'm stressing because I've never been able to hit over 15 push-ups.
Yeah.
Like, now I'm trying to figure out how the hell am I going to manage to pull 20 push-ups out of my ass. So, you know, I go and I'm so determined to just rep out as many push-ups as I can non-stop to prove to him that I can start fighting. You know, bro, the desire, it's like I was on fire. Like, there's heat. It's like having heat in here.
You turn this switch on in your brain that just lets your body do stuff.
Yeah, so, you know, I started repping on push-ups, and I did 91 push-ups. Never again. I've tried it plenty of times. I haven't, not even to this day, I haven't hit 91 in a row. I just don't do many push-ups. I should. I just don't do them. But I hit 91, bro, and I was not the most athletic person. But that showed me the power the mind can have on your physical body, because I healed my hand out of will in 2 months, and out of will, I broke my record by 70. But it's all through the power of mind.
Yeah. Did you go back to fighting like as soon as you got clearance for it?
Yeah, I went into sparring. I started sparring and everything. I think that's when I had my 2 months after I got cleared was when I was able to get my debut. And then, you know what's crazy, man? My debut, I won, but I lost.
Was it the video you showed me? Was it? You showed me a video where you were fighting this guy. I think even your dad said, "No, you should have won."
Oh yeah. That's another
Was it
one.
that video?
No, that's another one.
Oh,
That's actually my second fight.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
That's my second or third. But, nah, dude, the whole fight, I think I'm being good. You know, I'm feeling confident. I'm performing well. I'm super amped up and everything. The fight ends, and I get announced the loser. Bro, you know how distraught I was? Just gone. Absolutely destroyed. And I'm pissed. I get in the car, I call my dad, fucking pissed. I'm like, what the hell, all this shit. He's like, son, go home and rest. And when he told me, I was like, rest? For what? That pissed me off more than the fact that I lost. Like, bro, it just set another light on me. I hit the gym for another 3 hours. After, going to the ring, beating my ass, beating someone's ass and having my ass beat. I heard that, I was like, bro, no, I'm not resting. I just lost. Why would I go rest when I just lost? So I went, I hit the gym, and then after I was in training, that's when I started picking up the habit of training 2 to 3 times a day, and I was putting in that work. And then 2 weeks later, my coach tells me, hey, you actually won your fight? I'm like, oh shit. He's like, yeah, look, on the booklet it says you won, they just announced you as a loser. I'm like, oh yeah. So mentally, I took it, thankfully I took it well, in the right way. And not in a, damn, I suck, maybe boxing's not for me. I think that's a very shitty mentality. That's just a victim mentality. It's a sad excuse to give up on something. But a lot of it is mental, man.
By the way, like for people who haven't boxed, I myself haven't boxed much. By the way, so I'm not professional.
And he can spar good, man. I don't know.
I think I'm trash, but just want to get that clear. But for people who have tried like even sparring, the one time, when was it? It's been a couple of times, but the times that I've tried them, after like the second or third round, dude, I'm like, so the fact that he fought, a professional fight, and then on top of it, still went to the gym, dude, that's mind-boggling, because I can't picture myself, going to that extent, like after, like still hitting the gym for another 3 hours after that, dude, my respects on that. Yeah, just wanted to say that, but yeah, man, that's really tough. But I did want to mention though, because David Goggins, he's a phenomenal dude, and I don't know, unfortunately, maybe one day, maybe one day. But I read this book as well. I want to ask you, when it comes to the book, right, Can't Hurt Me, what's the main thing you've taken from that book that has drastically improved your life?
Ooh, there's 2. I think the 2 are tied in together, but it's the part where he's talking about taking a soul. There's this thing with boxing that it's hard to tell if it's a compliment or like a backhanded compliment.
Yeah.
And it's, oh, you're a tough fighter. Because that can mean one of 2 things. Either like you're tough, you can fuck someone up, you go drop them quick, or you're tough. You can't throw for shit, but you can take punishment, you just keep going. Yeah. So it can mean 2 things. I always got called tough. It kind of pissed me off because I never knew. It's like, okay, am I good at throwing hands or am I just good at taking a beating? That was sticking with me. But then the whole taking soul part came into the book where he's watching Rocky, and Rocky kept getting knocked down. He's getting knocked down, and he gets back up, gets knocked down, gets back up, knocked down, gets back up, knocked down. Everybody's trying to tell him to stop. His corner's telling him to stop. His coach and everything. I think it's like round 11, close to the end, 11 and 12. And then David Holguin is talking about how he gets up one last time. And then the Russian dude or whoever the hell it was fighting. I haven't seen this movie in ages, by the way. I don't remember.
I think how easy it was.
But yeah,
But I get it.
but he looks at him after he gets up, and it's like he lost his soul. Like the will to fight just went out. Because when you're fighting someone, if I were to drop you, let's say you're in a fight,
But
I drop you, 8 seconds, 9 seconds, that breath, my mind's out the game. I thought I won. If you get back up in that last second, I'm fucked. It's gonna take so much for me to get back into focus because you took my soul. Like I see it as, damn, I thought I won. Like I basically threw in the towel.
yeah.
And you got back up. It's like now you have the will, you have the upper hand because mentally you were still in the fight. Now I gotta get back into the fight. It's like those that were fighting for 12 rounds like a professional boxing match. If you get back up on the 12th round and that happens, and I let go, those past 11 rounds, they're no longer a warm-up. Now they're a hindrance. Because I'm mentally out of the game, but physically, I'm drained. So it's a very true thing, and he's talking about it. He's like, I want to take people's souls. So he started and he went on running and everything, and then he lost. He wanted to prove that guy wrong, so he ended up losing 100 pounds in like a month, something like that. But the whole story of taking the soul and then running that mile and proving to himself that it doesn't matter what your mind says, I'm gonna take my own soul. And then the most famous, everybody's saying, who's gonna carry the boats and the logs? That's taking the soul. It's keeping yourself distracted to push yourself past your limits. Meanwhile, looking at your opponent, dead in the eye, letting him know no matter what you do, you're not stopping me. And that's the thing that had the greatest impact on me because that's how I am. I was gonna say was because like I mentioned earlier, I'm calling myself out for being a pussy. You know, victim, letting some shit get to me, but that's how I am. That's the whole inspiration. That's my discipline. Is to take souls. I don't care how hard you train. I'm gonna train harder. I don't care how hard you hit. I'm gonna hit harder. That's it. That's what I see.
That's awesome.
I think that's a good message to end the podcast.
I think that is an awesome message. I wanted to ask on one last thing because you mentioned you went into how you put other things aside because you realized that this was your dream. And I think that's awesome, and it goes into how you have to focus on one thing to be exceptional at it. You can't half-ass things. And I know that you're doing a really good job at it, especially now, because you're putting your mind to it. When did you decide to make that change?
2 weeks ago, my uncle passed away from dementia, and it started affecting me. Then, no, it's fine, it's part of life. Then after a week, I wake up to a text from my dad telling me that my grandpa's in the hospital because he almost died from a heart attack. As the night progresses, my mom tells me that she might get a divorce with my stepdad. So I thought, this is all compiling up. Now it's the pressure of I need to take care of my mom, I need to make sure my grandpa's okay, I need to do all of this. Oh, bro, I still need to fight. I'm not dropping what I'm doing, but I still need to be able to help him. And it's overwhelming. Then I remember when my manager said about, hey, you have problems with your priority problems.
Yeah.
So that was just repeating in my head. And I took that as a message from God to, hey, switch it up. Switch it up. The order you're doing things in is wrong.
Yeah.
Switch it up. Don't worry. There's been times where I thought I wasn't gonna pay rent. I prayed, I put my full faith knowing that God was gonna provide, even if it was just the exact amount, and I'd have to pray again for the next week. I knew God was gonna provide, and it happened. And it happened to me, to Adrian, and to Christian. All three of us had this, so I took that same concept. Why is it me? I need to make money so that I can box, so that I can be this person. Me.
Yeah.
That's not the case. It's God. I don't know if you guys' opinion on that, but mine, I'm a firm believer. God plays a big role in everything.
Yeah.
And that's what made me switch. Instead of going that I need to make the money, well, I'm gonna just train, and God will put a sponsorship in my lap. God will put a client in my lap for the marketing. God will make it happen. All I need to do is just train, and whenever I'm not training, I can worry about the rest.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that really puts it into perspective how, like, when you do things without wanting the personal gain, like the thing that you're training for, practicing for, putting the effort in for, it's going to find a way to come to you. And just a lot of attraction. But that's awesome. You're absolutely crushing it in what you're doing, and I know that I have no doubt in my mind that you're going to be exceptional and get a lot of wins and and do what you seek out to do because you're putting in more work than anyone else.
By God's will, man. By God's will.
I really like the fact that you brought up God. You know, that's a lot of people don't think about that too. It's like you can only control the controllables. So outside the controllables, what do you do to help with that? And what I feel like you do, I do, I'm sure you do as well. A lot of people is put the faith in God, right? But I'm not religious to that extent, but I know that there's a divine entity out there, and that's why I wear this chain. But to people out there that wanna or worry about the uncontrollables, what's some advice you would give them?
The only true control you hold is over your thoughts, not your job, right now, how hard you're training. Because if God wanted to, He can smite you the moment you walk out your door. He can have some drunk driver crash into you at 2 p.m. in the middle of the day because it's so past on people fucking drinks this early. Generally, the only thing you have control over are your thoughts. So if you're stressing out about all this other stuff, that's the problem. It's your thoughts. That's the only thing you control. Everything else, you really don't have control over. So stop overthinking, put your head down, get to work, find a purpose, and get to work. And if you're depressed, speaking from experience, I'll use this analogy to explain it. You're not fat because you're depressed because you're fat. Depression is motivation. Depression is your body telling you you need to change your living situation. It's not happy with who you are right now. And that's not inhibiting you, it's motivating you.
Wow, great message.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, wow. Well, Ruben, I think that's the end of the podcast. We thank you so much for being with us. It's honestly your first guest, and I'm sure in the future we'll have you again. It's been an awesome podcast. Again, like I said, I think you're going to be a very successful person. You're already showing traits, and I'm sure you're going to easily, outwork everyone and, climb to the 1%. Okay?
And that's what we all are, man. I'm very grateful to be invited to your podcast. I'm excited to see what new episodes you come out with. And watching them,
Excited, man. Excited.
It's good, man.
Exciting things. But yeah, man, thank you so much. And to the people listening out there, take this to heart and, try and be better every day.
Leave a comment, let us know what you're trying to improve, what you're trying to be exceptional at. And we'll catch you guys next week. So many wins in your boxing career, Ruben. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, man. Cheers.